All right, you guys, back again with another episode on the 0% channel. Today I got with me uh, Miss Frenchie and CJ, real estate and business savvy investors who are just titans in their domain, I would say, from the information that I've gathered. And all of you have already spoken with Frenchie or probably gathered some consultations with her. CJ, we're trying to get you on board in the near future as well. But as
All
of
right.
today, we want to talk about is just what you guys do, what brought you to the 0%, and how did you utilize some of this information with what you're personally working on. A lot of us have our own endeavors. We come from many different backgrounds, and depending on where we are, we have that driving question, that existential drive to just figure out how can we beat this thing. It's all about fairness and equity is what we're trying to do. And so that has led to the express trust, but not just a regular express trust, but it has to be foreign. You all know, those that listen, have a foreign trustee to take advantage of um, certain techniques. So I'm gonna let you guys go ahead and talk. Frenchie, how you guys doing? You and CJ, how you doing today?
You're doing great yourself.
Very good. Thank you.
Good, good. So let's start off with some recent news. I know, French, you talked to me about um, dealing with what's called this HELOC, this home equity line of credit.
hmm
We've had some experience talking with some folks who are doing the same thing with their mortgage and trying to utilize accord and satisfaction according to the rules in their state. Some have been good, some have been bad. Well, not necessarily bad. We just learned some things and
hmm
attack it on the second run, would you say?
Yes, absolutely. It's a process for sure. So anyone who's willing to do that process need to arm themselves with patience and resistance. So because you're gonna have a lot of resistance. So sometimes you're gonna feel a little bit down because things don't go you know as you planned, but that doesn't mean that it's like you at war, so you maybe lose one or two battles, but the war is not over. So you just have to be resilient, I would say, and continue learning and learning from also sometime the mistake. And it's not that it doesn't work, it's simply that sometimes there is different way to approach what needs to be done. So this is what I've learned, and actually I learned so much more from that, and that helped me a lot in other area, in business or other things that I do. So it's all about following the law pretty much, and making sure that you let them know that you know the law. That's also on another thing. So
It
yeah.
is. I
uh,
heard you express that, in listening and watching one of the hearings that you were part of, and the judge was like, "Are you actually an attorney on the side?" Just
exactly.
hearing what your
hmm
documents that you served and the style of that. You did a lot of research within those court libraries.
yes, yes, that. And then there is also a lot of great website that you can utilize, and it's a lot of reading of case law. So sometimes at first I'm like, because I'm foreign, so it's not my first language, but I was like, there is other ways that I can learn and interpret those court case. But it helped me to read other court cases that would help me draft my own court case a lot better as well. So it's a lot of research. I definitely can tell you that it's long nights, weekends, any spare time that you can have. You need to have really the mindset needs to, there is need to be a switch. So it's either, do we want to have the result? Then you're gonna have to put in the work. But it's worth it. So yes.
So we would consider this a case that was about the HELOC and being discharge for the accord and satisfaction, we
Mhm.
would consider it to be a semi-win because it was dismissed without prejudice, correct?
Correct, without prejudice. And basically, I still have the recording of the judge telling the defendant, because I was the plaintiff in that case. I took them to court. She was literally telling the defendant that she's not ruling on the accord and satisfaction. She's only ruling on the part of me being not being able to represent my trust.
Exactly.
So the trust could not go after the servicer, but nothing to do with the accord and satisfaction. And she really well stated to the opposing, counsel, saying, no, I'm only ruling on this. That's the only reason why this case is being dismissed.
Mm-hmm. And that was a first in my experience. So what we've taken away from this all is you can mention who you are in association with the trust in the body of your explanation. But when it comes to listing the proper parties as complainant, plaintiff, defendants, sure, the banks can be listed and the presidents can be listed as the defendants, but what they're wanting to see so far in Illinois, that if you are the one raising the complaint because you're the one named on this actual bank loan, that's the name that they want listed up there, and not what represents the entire asset, which was the trust. So
absolutely,
we're not going to do the trust this time, but now we've learned that we kind of want to utilize that aspect as a last resort instead of going straight to them. So there's some techniques that we're going to do for the next opportunity to discharge this debt, and that's going into arbitration, which is really equity and chancery.
Absolutely. And also reading. So anyone who wants to do that process, the accord and satisfaction, continue to do it. Till this day, I'm still in honor, and I continue my accord and satisfaction, which is I'm still sending my draft with the conspicuous verbiage on the front and back. I'm recording that onto my spreadsheet because I'm keeping track of the event for my future case, right? And they're still accepting it. So I have all my proof and exhibit and evidence that I can bring forward once I'm going to be into arbitration, which is the court of equity, the proper one. But reading the contracts, if it's a mortgage or an ELOC or whatever that is, read the contract, because you'll see what you can and cannot do. And so that's where I realized that, well, I should have gone first into arbitration and then do the court. Or once I find out, I could start my arbitration at the same time, because I saw on the contract that I can, even though the case was still in effect, was still standing, I could have started the arbitration at the same time. It does show that. So read your contract, guys.
Yes, read the contracts, and they have them. In addition to, utilizing certain laws like 15 USC 1635 and maybe 1605, stipulations in the contracts as to how to use those things.
Yeah, and I was actually a little bit worried once my case got dismissed, because I'm like, man, they're gonna go after me, but they can't, because same thing. The arbitration clause shows that they cannot go after me. If they have to do the arbitration. Same thing that applied to me applies to them. We both signed that. That's the contract. So they could be in breach of contract if they don't follow that rule. So then I started to breathe a little better and said, okay, find the other way to continue this process. And that's what I've done. So then I started by cleaning my credit report and get my ELOC removed from two of the credit report, TransUnion and Equifax, but Experian was not budging. And so I decided to put them into arbitration, and I just settled the 17th of this month, of August 17, and it's fully removed. I got the copy of my updated credit report, and it's fully removed, and they pay me damages. So now it's on another layer for me on extreme win. So when I'm ready to really put them into arbitration, now I have everything in place to show that they really don't have anything. And I can finally settle and discharge.
Yes, yes. They always say that the one who wins in court is the one who has a preponderance of evidence. And if you do not report this HELOC to all three bureaus, especially Experian, once you deliver all that information and submit it into arbitration, they're going to analyze everything and do what our other student did with her unsecured debt. And they're like, you know what, let's just stop it here before we go and put this on the public record as a case. And what's the biggest fear for these banks? It's when it becomes precedence.
Exactly. And therefore that could be a court case for somebody else to use. So they don't want that. So you're right. And so even that arbitration that I've done, I didn't have to do into that. That was a settlement before going into arbitration. So a lot of people think, also myself at first when I started, was that when I do arbitration, because there was a case number, created, but it never went alive because we settled before. So their deadline to settle with me was by the 18th, and they settled with me on the 17th. So that court case is no longer, and it got, thrown out. So there is no court case.
Wow. One day.
Yes.
Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. So we got that taken care of. We know we're going to win that.
Yes.
We know we got that. So that's going to be another win.
Yes.
Now we got some wins over on CJ's side as well. Now you're out in Illinois or Michigan, which you're with Frenchie in Illinois.
I'm in Illinois.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know that you were dealing with two cases in two different districts. And
yes.
You want to kind of shed some light on those two cases there, how that's going?
Okay. So I had a case in Michigan, also a case in Illinois, child support cases. And so I don't know when we first got in touch with you, Avery, but I just know we was on a trip somewhere, Frenchie. So you probably better with the date and time we kind of got in touch with them.
Early 2022.
Early 2022. So we got in touch with you, came across some information about you on Instagram through someone else, actually. And then we kind of found you that way and got in touch with you. And you've been helping us ever since with this whole process, just not only child support, but other processes, because we are business people in real estate involved, that we also taught us how to go about also protecting or removing our name for businesses or addresses, and also protecting assets. So that's one reason we got into the trust, learning how to do trust in the first place. But going back to the child support cases, the Michigan case, we worked on it, submitting, what was it, an affidavit of denial first, and then a writ of discovery?
Yes. So the first session that we had with Avery, because we've been on this journey for quite some time, and we were getting always, bump in the road. But that first session that you provided us, you gave us the entire process in like a 30 minutes consultation. I was amazed by, you do this first, the denial, point for point, line by line, then you serve such and such and such. Like, it was really detailed. So it was easy for us to follow through with this process. It was just the legalese at that time. We didn't know nothing.
Exactly.
So that was the hardest part, I would say. But once we get it going, it was already putting this in place, and having, like, when you have a plan in place is a lot easier. then you learn along the line. So yes, it was the affidavit of denial first. Then after that, it was, to do that every 72 hours and prepping our document, motion to cure, and then I'm drawing a blank.
Well, that was you're referring to the injunction, the case injunction.
No, but that was not for the injunction. That was really for the child support. It was first to do the denial and ask for a discovery, and then after that was if they don't respond.
There was another thing too that we did also that I didn't realize at the time when I was going to court for it in Michigan. It was a Zoom call. They was asking for, like, I guess, proof that I was the father too. And so
affidavit of parentage.
Yeah, affidavit of parentage, and my name was not on the birth was on a birth certificate. And so it was like, because they didn't have that was another reason they had to kind of drop the case too as well, because I guess we don't know that affidavit of parentage when we having birth or having birth in a hospital, that's also an application for child support. So since they didn't have my name on there, it was like they had to kind of like drop the case.
Well, you just gave a major jewel right there. Can you repeat that about the hospital?
Yeah, so I would say any parent, couple, whatever, if you don't want to be subject to child support, don't sign that application of parentage, because on the back of it, that's where they talk about child support, and by you signing that, it's like you're accepting like child support. You're enrolling in child support.
Yeah. So if I can't give a little bit more, because then we pulled up that affidavit of parentage and I read it and all that stuff. Basically, any parent, when you at the birth, at the hospital, it's a lot of commotion. You're excited, you're getting the baby, but most of the time the nurse is going to come in as soon as the baby is born with some forms for you to sign. And as a parent, you're so excited, you don't even look. They're just telling you that it's right underneath the application for birth certificate, and you just go ahead and sign, right? And that's what it is. But when I pull up the form, and I'm pretty sure you can, provide a copy of that, I'll send it to you. It shows that this is an application and this is a contract, and it shows in the back that someone should have read you and you understood what you were signing. But that's for child support, and it does say that. But they give you 30 days that you can rescind that. So that's on another thing that, I dissect that form, but that's usually when it happened. When they lock you in is in that delivery room.
Yep.
That's when it happened.
Now, who do we contact if we want to get a copy of that?
Your basically the vital record. This is where basically the child was born, or the state or the county. You can do that there. You can request a certified copy of that affidavit of parentage.
Yeah, I authenticated the birth certificate too.
Yep,
for my
and the affidavit of parentage.
Yeah.
And see, it makes so much sense, and it ties into the information that we had recently talked about on the UCC 3 presentation with the whole, the Holy See and the Vatican, and the claim on the afterbirth DNA material. When you look at the word, or look at that word parent, no one wants to be called parent. It's not a good word. You're either father or mother. Think if you break down the etymology of it, you have two people, which is a pair, and they're renting their offspring from the Big Papa, the state, essentially asking for permission to do anything and everything that you consider to be normal when you take that baby home. And on top of that, all hospitals are what they call federal agencies that's began by the Knights of Malta Hospitaller. And that's their job, is to get you to sign that affidavit of parentage and to get you to do that birth certificate and forfeit the afterbirth DNA material. So they'll put the lien on it. And you have no idea that entities all over the world are transferring monies and funneling monies through a trust to have claim to that material and have a lien on it. And we don't even know. That's how we have subject matter jurisdiction. That's how they have it. So that UCC3, which the both of you are going to be doing for your own personal process, is going to remove that for you. The top 7 people that have done that so far has had absolute remedy. And I shared mine with the state income thing. I don't have much to actually fight. I'm very fortunate for that, but they do, and some of them kind of want to remain in the background when it comes to that stuff, and I can respect that. But I know that you guys are going to get the same remedy with those forms as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now that was
I also did a UCC 11 too to see if I owed anybody, but nothing came up. So I don't know if that helped.
Yeah, it does help. I mean, like we said, it's preponderance of evidence. You can always put all these things in, which they don't prove this, they don't prove this, they don't prove that, they don't prove that. I mean, what else can you do now? We have all these things, and you just want to say, well, we're going to ignore it. Under what power? Right? We always, now we know if we hear something in court that we don't agree with, I take exception. We take exception to that. They have to give an answer as to why they said it. Then if they don't, move forward with how they're supposed to, that's when we want them to recuse themselves off the bench. So if you see at any point in time in your case where you keep getting a new judge, it's because of what you said. Yeah.
That's true.
Now that was Michigan that we just talked about. Now we're working on
and it got dismissed. So Michigan court case got closed on last October 2022. So
they stopped reporting it. Well, I think they had stopped reporting it on my credit report.
Yeah,
we had sent in like documentation,
letters,
like to the bureaus or whatever. And so they have removed it. But I think recently they might have tried to put it back on there. And so we did arbitration. We did arbitration, and I got remedy in arbitration for that too as well.
Yep.
That's me.
That's awesome. Yeah, if you want to, Frenchie, if you want to pull something up in the meantime, you can at any time.
Okay.
All right, but the one in Illinois, we just did the process. We're doing the process right now. The only thing I haven't done was did a motion to dismiss yet.
Yes. So, of course, you'll take that off, right?
Of course.
But yes, so that's a child support case from 2019, right? And it got disposed on October of last year. At the end of October of last year, that's where we saw that. So actually 2 of them. So there is this one.
Doing the process right now. The only thing I haven't done was did a motion to dismiss yet.
Yes. So of course, you'll take that off, right?
Of course.
But yes, so that's a child support case from 2019, right? And it got disposed on October of last year. At the end of October of last year, that's where we saw that. So actually 2 of them. So there is this one, and then the second one right here. Because remember, you actually told us, that there is 2 type of, ID number. There is the participation number, and there is the case number.
Yes. So the case number is pertaining to the actual suit or complaint that either the woman files or the state files against you for whatever reason. But the other one, the participation number, that's coming from that affidavit of parentage.
Yeah. Yep. So dispose and balance zero. That was like, I think almost what, 30, 35 or 33 or 35. Okay. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And so now that we have got these things dismissed, I know you said you got to worry about getting things removed first before you can go into the suits or whatever. So, you know, I spent like 25 days in jail for the one in Michigan.
Yep.
I got arrested, pulled over in Illinois for riding on like expired tags or whatever. And so the sheriff or whatever, he actually ran my name. I guess they found the warrant in Michigan, and they took me in. And so when I was in there in Illinois locked up, they was also not willing to really offer me a bail. They was trying to transport me to Michigan. And so now that we see that they didn't even have a case standing and they was putting me through all that, it's like it's almost time to say, you know, what you guys put me through, it wasn't even, how would you say, though, they didn't even go through the proper channels to make sure this case was in good merit.
You was not given due process.
Yeah, due process.
Whenever they detain you, what's first supposed to happen is they got to have an affidavit of complaint that's approved by the clerk of court or the magistrate that's attached to the warrant to even search you to support their suspicions. That will be done. And then whatever they made you sign while you're in there, fingerprinting and all that, that is going against the Constitution as well. You're providing evidence and providing a testimony against yourself.
Yeah,
that's a violation. And if you were there for X amount of days before even seeing a judge, that's a violation. If they pull you over and take you in at 3 o'clock in the morning, they got to knock on the door of the judge and say, wake up, come down to the courthouse. We need you to see this person right away. They didn't do that. So it's called irreparable injury.
Yep.
Even though this happened some time ago, yeah, you can sue. And so you're waiting until you have all the proper docs in order for you to make sure that this suit is going to be an absolute win.
Yep.
Yeah. I agree with you.
Yep. And so, so the one in Illinois is just basically just moving it to dismiss. That's it.
Yes, we're at the end of it. So, and thanks to you for following up, you know, with everything, because they were sending multiple, you know, letters to CJ for, you know, saying like threats basically. But we were really on point to reply right away. And after that, there was nothing that they could do. Remember when they asked you for $500 just to put you on there for the yearly fee? Like they were adding like all type of fees. So we also
that was coming from, I don't remember her name, but it was like a lady that was working for a court, and then you was like, who is that? And you basically said that was a third-party debt collector. So we sent the letter to
the third-party debt collector.
Yeah, I don't know if she was part of the county or she was part of.
Yes.
She was over something. The friend
she
of the
was
court,
the court clerk.
Somebody. She was a clerk. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and so we sent the third-party debt collector to her. And I haven't heard anything else from her.
Okay.
Went away. So basically what we're saying is that regarding child support, anyone who's going through that process, not saying that you cannot attack a child support case without your trust in place, but it's going to be is going to help you a ton if you do. So CJ did that while building his trust at the same time. So, you know, the same thing as imply and express. So while still building all this, it was helpful on the court document to be able then, once the trust was recorded, to be able to then bring the trust as a layer of protection and announcing that he's protected under the foreign express trust. So that was a huge thing as well. The court document that we filed, affidavit of denial, motion to dismiss, or motion for discovery, all that good stuff, was also having the court take judicial notice that CJ was under the express trust. So that was an extra layer of protection with that. So it's like, don't touch that. So it's important for people to understand that. And then also all the rest of the document that needs to be done or put in place at the same time is suggests to have the affidavit of domicile along with the key lease, along with the UCC. So it's really claiming ownership over your heirs. Also authenticated the birth certificate of your child. It's all those things needs to be in place. So we're talking about the child support, process. It's a lot more than just filing something into the court case. It happened a lot with the trust indentures, along with all those documents outside the court.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And normally, when people record these things down in the county, it's because that's pretty much the best option if they don't have a court case. But since CJ has one, he's able to record all of the requirements that you just mentioned right into the case, which would serve as recording with an immigration officer in a naturalization court. So when he's stating who he is as a father, which is at the same time doing his nationality declaration, his correction, and they can't challenge it. In fact, I see if I can pull that up where there is in their own records, they state that if you are stating who you are and your nationality, whether that is talking about expatrianism, if you want to be considered an expat and all of that, you don't have to be. We call it renunciation. But if you were, in their own words, they say any type of denial of what you're claiming to be is false. They can't stop you at all. Let me share my screen. And I know an individual, he used this so that way he could take that remedy. Can you all see that?
Yep.
Okay, let me zoom in a little bit.
Yes.
This is page 350 and 351, talking about citizenship in this document. So this is statute that's at large, 43rd Congress, First Session, Volume 18, Part 1. If we go to Section 1999, it says, whereas the right of expatriation, right? Now, expatriation is where you're going to get deported if you don't claim your home. That happened to Most Def. He did it wrong the first time. He figured it out. Then he did the renunciation, and he was able to come back to the United States because that's his home. So, whereas the right of expatriation or renunciation is a natural and inherent right of all people, indispensable to the enjoyment of the rights of the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And whereas in the recognition of this principle, this government has freely received immigrants from all, notice how they spell immigrants, E versus I-M. There's a difference. That means one who's coming into the United States versus one that's coming out of the United States. Nations and invested them with the rights of citizenship, and whereas it is claimed that such American citizens with their descendants are subjects of foreign states, owing allegiance to the governments thereof, whereas it is necessary to the maintenance of public peace that this claim of foreign allegiance should be promptly and finally disavowed. Therefore, any declaration, instruction, opinion, order, or decision of any officer of the United States which denies, restricts, impairs, or questions the right of expatriation is declared inconsistent with the fundamental principles of the Republic, the de jure, not the de facto, not the democratic. It goes against the fundamentals of the Republic. So the Republic is always here as long as you have the right to do such a process. They want to say that this is the democratic state. The Republic has never left. It's always operating. It is on the face of the shadow government, basically. So we had someone use this when he went down to the recorder's office to do his passport process. They looked at his explanatory statements and said, you can't do this. Even though the acts or conditions section on page 4 of the application says word for word what to do, they still wanted to reject. So we went back again. Same lady looked at him and says, are you doing the same thing that I sent you away last time? He says, yes, but you have to also see this too. And then she read it, and they had to provide the stamp and send it over through. And he got his passport.
Can I say something?
Yes.
So, can you go back in? Can you share the screen again?
Oh, yeah.
Section 2000, because you know, I gotta represent my naturalized people. Section 2000, it applied to us as well, same way. All naturalized citizens of the United States while in foreign countries are entitled to and shall receive from this government the same protection.
Same protection of personal property which is accorded to native born citizens above in section 9. So you guys can do it. Yes, they're talking about property as well. So foreign nationals, when you get property, if you have that in your name and you're able to secure it with a private lender, you have the right to be here. Because they cannot.
That's powerful.
They cannot just steal that property just because you don't have what's called a green card. They can't steal property. Why? Because that will be a violation of private contracts. And your documents between you and your private lender is a private contract. The exchange of lawful money has taken place. And that's another telltale that we still have lawful money. If I give you $1, that's lawful money, but most people would say that that's fiat currency and there's nothing to it. There's two sides to that dollar bill. It all depends on how you use it.
Private or public.
And that's why we do the contract with your R-Springs and you when you're doing the affidavit of domicile. You also do your UCC with that lease agreement in there. So because that's a private contract and it's hard for them to intervene on private contracts.
Yeah, you do the non-UCC for the lease agreement as a separate transaction.
Exactly. Yep. Lease agreement. So it's kind of similar to what the parents do for themselves, and they have that promissory note.
The promissory note.
Yep.
But the child can't enter to the promissory note. So therefore the father and mother can do the lease on the child's estate and then list that information on the non-UCC, attach the affidavit of domicile. Now everybody's probably like, why would you do an affidavit of domicile? Isn't that claiming to be here within the United States? Well, if you guys go back and some of you all may have heard about Minnesota Rule 220, Jonah Bay talked about, and others. So we merged that information inside of the domicile documents. Some states and counties call that an affidavit of residency or a domicile, but they're the same thing. And so when they look at it, they say, oh, okay, I'm familiar with looking at this. They don't really read everything else. And it's subtle and tactful because they're looking to do that to us. Every time we bring them something, they say, oh, you can't do that because of this code. So, fine. We'll make it work within it and still be protected by the trust.
Yes.
Yep.
I would say also is that, you know, like everything else, law, you know, you really have to stay knowing about the law and make sure that, you know, you see if there is any amendment who has been done or anything like that. You know, of course you have the ex post facto law, but it's very important to see if there is any change in the ruling. I think that I noticed that working on different cases or things like that is noticing that law can be changed. So it's important to be aware of that, to stay informed also if there is anything that has changed. Especially now, we see that a lot. So, you know, some process that you started a couple of years ago, it doesn't mean that it's going to be like that, or you're not going to have to perfect it.
We got majority of what we wanted to say to the people. We don't want to have it too long, but if we want to have some last closing remarks, CJ, the floor is yours.
Oh, okay. Wow. I guess I kind of want to talk about the baby thing still, because I recently had, well, not recently, but I had home birth too, and so I know that could be, you know, questions where people kind of going through this process and not having birth certificates and stuff like that. How to take ownership or claim of your children. We did a public notice for my home birth children not too long ago, but we used a newspaper that you recommend to Frenchie. So we used them, and I just received my public notice back. So now with that public notice, even though it was filed in another state or another out of state, I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna file that within the county. Now, would I do that the same way as the domicile with the lease agreement and all that still too?
Yes, you would. Same way.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Right.
Because when you did the newspaper with someone in another state, they were the witness over there. And, you know, that serves as, well, you were doing business there. That's the principal location. And then you happen to move, right? And this new location is going to justify what you did by a DBA in the new location. You have that. That's how it's done. Newspaper serves as a witness. That is a way to follow what the Constitution says, where we have the right to freely speak and print our sentiments. They want us all day long to picket and riot and shout and break things. That's not printing. So we get nothing done if you don't print anything.
And I also, I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I'll say I also did a trademark for their names, and I had my express trucks take ownership of the trademark as well. So, you know, just in case I do decide to go get a birth certificate or anything, that I will be the secure party of their name, and will reap the benefits instead of letting the state try to act like they're the owners or anything like that. I was like being first in line, first in time. Once you know how to take claim and ownership and tie a UCC to it to protect it, I think that, you know, even if you still want to go and use, I guess they say the matrix or the system to kind of get certain things, as long as you have the I guess the title of it, ownership or title, you should be fine. I guess that's my understanding of it.
Right, and Frenchie will tell you, in addition, just like we do the UCC 3 for the parents, for the mother and father, we got to do it for the child too, especially in a child support case, because It's all about that subject matter jurisdiction. What is the subject? It is the birth certificate, that certificate of title. And what's the matter? The matter is that afterbirth DNA material that they put a lien on back in the hospital. They didn't let you get with you, because there are some additional benefits if you take it and let the I don't know what all they do with it, but there are some additional benefits to the afterbirth material for the infant after they're born. And so they consider that to be the second person, second coming, if people can understand. Second coming is what that is. And so because they put a claim on that, now the Vatican or the Pope sees itself as the vicar Christ that stands before the subject matter person, the ens legis person. He represents that person, and therefore you're always asking for forgiveness and salvation in court, because that lien, that material was salvaged long time ago. So now,
the splinter.
Yes, there you go. So now you gotta, as the parents, with reference and correlation to the actual lease agreements, you're stating that you're taking that back. You're putting something stronger and more efficient and effective filing over what they've done, because all they have is presumption. That's all they have. I'll tell you, they will not speak about it. And this whole court system is based on a lunar cult system. It goes all the way back to the days of Moses. So that's why they'll look at you like you're crazy in court. You don't know what you're talking about. They call you a lunatic. Lunar. It's serious black magic wordplay is what they do. But when you present that UCC3 information, which shows the 3 or the 4 major trusts that began way back in 15, what was that, Frenchie, with Pope Boniface? Back in, like that, 15 something.
Yeah.
He's the one who started that whole thing. And what's the name of the Express Trust? I'm drawing a blank. There's 4 of them that they have these claims over, and that's what gives rise to their agriculture lien that we've all seen over the internet.
Oh yeah, with the United States have an agriculture lien on the land or something like that, or the people of the land?
The land and the people. People can go back into the UCC3 videos that we have on YouTube and also inside the website. The only thing that's not on YouTube is the part 3 of that, which shows the documentation on how to file this thing. So you need to come into the site and get involved with the community there to help you through the process to get that done. So that way you can experience remedy and get out of these things. It's really daunting to have these things a part of your life. And who wants to go through life having those things over you where you can't really be the father and the mother that you were called to be? So with that being said, I know that we don't want to have it go too long, but any closing remarks from the both of you, if you guys want to add?
CJ?
I would say trust the process, stick to the process. I know people have different schedules. People might be busy. I was lucky to be, self-employed, so I had the time. And then I had a partner who could, even if I did like the documents and stuff like that can execute it on the other end. If you really want to do this, like they say, people make time for the things that they want. You will make time for it. So I would say, just trust the process. Don't rush the process. Make sure you understand certain things, and just keep after it. Keep tugging away, because you're going to find different things. Like we can say do it this way, and it might be totally different in where you're at. So don't say that it doesn't work. It's just you got to be able to adapt too. So be adaptable, be patient, be willing, and I think you'll make it through for sure.
Good word, good word. Now, where can they find you all? Because I know you guys got business, and you're good at what you do. What do you guys do, and where can they find you?
Well, CJ Scott, an entrepreneur. I specialize in fitness and nutrition, so I have a customizable fitness and nutritional brand. My website where you can find me at is athleticspanutrition.com. Again, that is athleticspanutrition.com. Thank you.
Awesome. I know, Frenchie, you have some products as well that you sent over my way, and I tell you, I really seen the difference in my clarity of thought, or just the energy level to keep and maintain in my study. I get up earlier, I study, and I go to bed, and I study a lot longer than I used to. For example, that lion's mane is really.
Lion's mane.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And so that lion's mane is where you can find it on athleticspanutrition.com. So that's where Frenchie, she got the products from.
I'm so sorry, I got disconnected.
Oh, okay. Sounds better. So go ahead.
Yeah, that's CJ's product. What you receive, it's Athletics by Nutrition. That's CJ's product. Yes.
Great. Awesome.
You want to tell them about your business, Frenchie?
Oh, yeah, if I don't get disconnected. I'm Frenchie, the dot connect, aka the dot connector. I am a business strategist. I help entrepreneur and aspiring entrepreneurs start and grow and build their business the right way with the proper foundation so they can last. I have extensive experience in different area of business, marketing, structure, funding as well. Basically, this is why people call me the dot connector. So that's what I do. I also help with credit, financial literacy, and yeah, there you go.
The ultimate business consultant. That's what
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you both for taking the time to speak with me and share with everybody what you do and how it's been used and where you are in the process. You all can speak to both of them within the site on the 0%.net. If you go and check it out, all you got to do is get into at least the community plan, and there you'll be able to chat with all the members there and kind of figure out if this process is for you or not, which I know it is for you. It's for everyone. This is what everyone used to do in the Republic before things got lost in, should I say, public education. But with that being said, we'll all see you next time. Until then, peace out.
Peace.